Hi, this is Carrie Brownstein.
This is DJ Premier.
This is Darren Aronofsky.
You got the RZA right here.
Rose McGowan.
Radiohead.
Aisha Tyler.
Tribe Called Quest.
Fred Armisen.
Prince Paul.
Javier Munoz, Seth Meyers.
Frankie Cosmos.
Flying Lotus.
Hi, we're Chaim, and you're listening to the Talkhouse podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Talkhouse podcast. I'm Josh Modell. This week's conversation features a pair of performers who came up in the 90s and who have followed each other's careers since. Tim Burgess of the Charlatans and Joan Wasser, aka Joan As Police Woman. Tim Burgess has had a fascinatingly diverse career. He first came to prominence as singer of the Charlatans, who were part of the early 90s Madchester scene along with the Lights of the Stone Roses and Happy Mondays. But unlike many of their contemporaries, the Charlatans have had a long and prosperous career, releasing more than a dozen albums in addition to Burgess's prolific solo output. This week sees the release of a massive Charlatans box set called A Head Full of Ideas that spans their career and includes hits and rare tracks. Here's a little bit of the recently rediscovered Come On, Come On. In addition to the box set, a Charlatans tour that's just about to start, and a solo album slated for next year, Burgess has kept himself busy through the pandemic with a fun concept he named Tim's Twitter Listening Party. It's simple enough. He coaxes other musicians to essentially live tweet their own albums, and it's resulted in literally hundreds of sessions with everyone from his UK contemporaries like Oasis and Blur to a session with Sir Paul McCartney himself. 100 of those parties have now been gathered into a hardcover book, which also includes rare photos from the participants and lots more. One of those 100 featured in the book is Joan Wasser, who also got her start in a 90s band, the Dambuilders, and subsequently launched an incredibly varied career. She was in Antony and the Johnsons for a brief bit. She's recorded a bunch of great records under the name Joan As Police Woman as well. The first of those, 2006's Real Life, knocked Tim Burgess over when he first heard it, as you'll hear in this conversation. Wasser is just about to release an incredible collaborative album that she made with Dave Okumu and Afrobeat pioneer Tony Allen not long before Allen's death last year. It's called The Solution is Restless, which is a pretty perfect title, and it'll be out in November. Check out a little bit of that album's first single, Geometry of You. These two have a great chat. Tim is super chill and loves to meditate. Joan is a total firecracker. They talk about how Joan's album knocked Tim for 6. They talk about the myth of Lou Reed. Tim met him as a fan. Joan toured with him. And how Tim, in addition to everything else, has a coffee business. Sort of. Enjoy.
I've got a book out today, the Listening Party book. Today that you're in, and I've not sent you a copy yet. I've not even got a copy myself, but it came out today, so that's great.
Oh my God, congratulations. That's massive.
Thank you very much. And, you were one of the first people that I asked to do it, and, well, real life, kind of like, I got that record at a time that I really needed it, so I was really glad that you could tell the world about it, and, the detail that you told them in, obviously with tweets, but that's in the book, obviously. So, I guess we've known each other since then, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're both still alive, which is like the best part.
Yeah, and I don't know how long that was actually, really, but you would obviously know firsthand.
I mean, that record came out in 2006. It's been a while. It has.
Yeah, so that's what's happened. The Listening Party book's out today.
Yeah, so tell me, how did you come up with that idea?
I actually saw a version of it on TV. Riz Ahmed, the actor, was talking about Four Lions, the film that he made. And he said that if you watch it on Channel 4 tonight, I'll tweet along a little bit as it goes through, and I'll, tell you that the take that they use of me getting into the car was actually the one where I laughed the least. And I thought, that's really great. That's really interesting. I should apply this to the Charlatans records. So I asked, I had about 6,000 followers on Twitter then. It was, like 10 years ago. And I asked if they'd like me to tweet along to a Charlatans record. And people seemed to say, well, they said yeah. And I did it, and people seemed to like it. So I did the second album and the third, and then after I'd done them all, maybe 6 months later, I just did them all again. And as my Twitter numbers went up, more people got into it. And then obviously with lockdown, it became a different thing when I asked other people to use my platform as well. And then we could share it to my Twitter followers and the artist taking part's followers. And it just seemed to really hit home during the first lockdown.
It was such a wonderful distraction to do that.
Well, what I liked about yours is that, I'm not saying that you were into the idea. You were into it was like, oh yeah, I'll do it. Thanks, thanks for asking, and and all that. But then your feeling after you'd done it was kind of like, was the feeling that, I was trying to get out to the world. It was like, oh my God, it's flipping mind blowing. It's like, it just feels like, such a, well, I don't know. To me, I'm a meditator and I meditate on my own, which is great. Sometimes I meditate with 10 people. That's amazing. Yeah. With 100 people, I've done it with 100 people, and it's just mind melting, and that's what it feels like to me when you just got all these people around listening to the same thing at the same time, approximately at the same time, a couple of seconds in between, I suppose, but, and someone who made the record.
It really brought me back to when I made the record, because I had to think about what happened at the time.
Of course.
And prep some words, because it goes so fast. At this moment, this horn arrangement written by this person comes in, or whatever. And that was just so nice. And thank you for doing that.
Oh, yeah. It's kept me relatively sane during a very strange time. And it's given me something to talk about when I meet people, so it's kind of quite good.
So what is the book exactly?
Well, it is pretty much, with the exception of an intro from me and a kind of intro from Bonehead and a kind of summary by Pete Perfides. It's 100 artists' tweets, including you and Paul McCartney and Kylie Minogue and Oasis and Blur and Fatboy Slim, Chemical Brothers, Franz Ferdinand, Wolf Alice, Churches. It's just kind of like everybody, well, only 100, but...
That's a lot.
Yeah. But I have to explain about how into that album I was. Your 2006 album, I did kind of follow you up and down the country a little bit. When he came to England, I definitely saw you in Manchester, and I'm pretty sure I saw you in London. Well, did you play Shepherd's Bush? And I saw you there. And then I think we reconnected in Belgium after a little bit of time. Well, that album just knocked me for six. It really did. And I got the singles.
What was happening in your life?
It was either just before or just after. I was an alcoholic and I had to stop. Or I think I was an alcoholic, but I definitely had to stop. and drugs as well. And that record now and again through life, there's lots of records that you love, but there's a handful that really kind of, help you through. And that, the song Eternal Flame and, Ride and stuff like that. I'd never heard anything like it before. And I wasn't expecting it either, which is amazing. I can't remember, it was the guy from PS, Andreas from PS, was it? I think so. And he just handed it to me. And I was in his apartment in Paris, and I was looking at it, and he just played it. And it was just like, wow, this is really... So I was still drinking because I was there with Carl from the Libertines, and we were a right mess. But then, slowly and surely, but the record stayed with me for life, so...
Wow. What's incredible about that is that, so that record came out in 2006. So I had begun writing it in the middle of 2004. I was on tour with Rufus Wainwright. I was opening the shows with some of the songs that hadn't been recorded yet that were going to be on the record and stuff. And I had recorded a lot of the basics. So with the drums, the bass, and me playing whirly and doing like a scratch vocal. And I was also drinking and using drugs way, way too much. And I was getting to the point where I was going to probably lose my life, if I didn't stop. And indeed, in late 2004, I stopped.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought I was never going to write anything again and my life was going to end and I was going to be a spinster. And that, what we find out is that actually then our lives get so much better because we're not crippled
completely.
by the stuff. So I had recorded the basics and I had started doing lots of overdubs. Like Antony had come in and sang her part on I Defy. And I had done tons of my singing and stuff. And what had happened after I quit everything is the hard drive crashed.
No.
And blew up and was gone. But the basics of the bass and drums were still there because they were on tape.
Oh, thank goodness.
But I had to do all my parts over, not wasted. I had to do it all over again in this other frame of mind. And of course it made the record what it was because I had already done it once. It was like a trial run. And then I had to record everything again.
I wonder whether it was the clarity of you not drinking that related to me post me doing the same thing. I don't know.
It might have been.
Or maybe they're just because they're just kick-ass songs,
Thank you.
I was so into it. And anyway, yeah, I've never really told you that. So I thought I'd save it for this,
Thanks for telling me. That so makes me feel really happy. Because of course I didn't know either what the hell was I had never made my own records. I didn't know it. I didn't know Tim Burgess was going to hear it. I figured my brother and my good friends would hear it, but anyone beyond that, who knew?
That's the amazing thing about records that travel. It still blows me away that people hear my stuff from all over the world. It's amazing.
I remember hearing about the Charlatans. I was living in Boston and I was working at a dance club in the coat check.
Oh, wow.
And this was in 1990. I was all into sort of I don't know, a lot of heavy music and a lot of, also really getting into soul music at that point. And the manager of the dance club was so into he was you have to hear it's the Madchester sound. And he would just play it nonstop. All of the songs, and he sort of indoctrinated us. It was actually, this is what's cool. Listen to it, you little, shitty hardcore kids. This is what's cool. Listen to this. You think you're so cool? Listen to this. This is what's cool. So that was the first time I heard you and the other band. I remember hearing the name Inspiral Carpets.
Yes, yeah. Good friends of mine.
I was excuse me? I was
What was the club? It wasn't Paradise, was it?
No, it was a club called Venus de Milo. And it was a dance club, and it was right next to a bar called Bill's Bar that I
know Bill's Bar, yeah. I think I know Venus de Milo as well, but
yeah, I used to cocktail waitress there. I got through school by working at both of those places, and they were owned by the same person next to each other. Is a cocktail waitress at Bill's Bar, and I used to work the coat check at Venus de Milo, and that's where I heard you. So thank you.
Thanks for remembering.
Oh, impossible to forget. Impossible.
I was just thinking, what's outside of your window? I was just about, it just looks so bright and so beautiful.
Well, it's interesting that you ask because When I moved here, a lot of people wouldn't visit me because it was too deserted. I live in Brooklyn. And in this area, it was too deserted. Oh, I feel worried about coming over there because there's like, there's nothing over there except for me. Okay, fine. And since I moved here, the developers have decided it's the most interesting place on earth. And they are building 11 40-story high-rises.
Wow.
Too many.
Too many.
It's awful in the morning. It's awful in the morning. I have a white noise machine that I use. And fan and the air conditioning because it gets really hot in New York City. So that way I feel like I'm sort of in the middle of the ocean. And therefore I'm sometimes able to sleep through it. But I mean, that's what happens in New York. But I still have sunlight.
I'm actually West London at the moment, but it's temporary. It's my friend's flat. It's just letting me let me stay here for a bit. But you were talking about being a godmother as well. Is that right?
I have 2 godchildren. One, a girl. She's like maybe 18 now, something.
Wow.
Yeah, she lives in Paris. She's way cooler than me, obviously. She's an 18-year-old who lives in Paris. And that's the daughter of one of my really good friends. And then I have a godson who just turned 1.
Wow, that's so great.
And yeah, it is really great because I have been forced into loving a baby.
Yeah.
Babies have not been my favorite thing in the past, mostly just because the screaming stresses me out so much. It's supposed to elicit this kind of response from a human being because you're supposed to pay attention to that thing when it's screaming and yelling. But the fact is, this baby is just smiling all the time.
Oh, well, I've got an 8-year-old, so I'm a dad, and his godmother is Cozy Fanny Tutti.
Oh, yeah.
And she's very good. And
wow.
Chris Carter, godfather. I've just been with him today, and we're going to get haircuts tomorrow, so that should be quite fun.
Okay, that's amazing. Does he have style like you have, Tim? Because...
Well, he's cooler than I am.
Obviously.
Because
always.
he brings Fortnite and Minecraft into the whole equation, which is kind of like, it's the future. So, and he's got his dances and he talks about skins all the time.
I did not know you were a dad. Amazing.
Well, I don't know how good of a dad I am, but I'm, more.
I think every dad thinks that, though. Yeah.
But hopefully I'm an okay dad.
I have a feeling you're pretty great. What are your haircuts going to look like? Because I know you can really rock a haircut.
I don't know whether you can tell, but it's a little bit long, even for me. I like to hide behind my fringe. I've always, I've done that, but it's a bit too long. It's a bit irritating, so I'm going to get that cut. And he wants like a short back and sides, and he wants a soldier's haircut,
right?
Because he's 8,
tight.
But he normally has what he calls a bowl head,
like you.
Yeah, like me, because he's had it since he was a baby like that. And now he's rebelling. First rebellious hairstyle. He wants to look like a soldier.
That's a hot style, though. That's going to look amazing.
I'm just hoping he becomes a musician and sort of struggles through it all like we do,
Oh, boy. Wow. Does he play music yet?
He's got drums and he wants to be a singer like me, he said.
Yeah.
If you can call it that, he likes piano, so.
Oh, great!
I'll put him your way. Yeah,
that's
which would be great.
I am a self-taught piano player, so I just literally work it out. I don't even really know the names of the chords or anything. It's just all by ear.
I enjoy watching your back when you play the piano. I don't know whether you know that, but it's kind of interesting.
What happens back there?
Well, it kind of like your head sort of goes, you're really into it. It's really amazing. And it's just really enjoying watching how into it you were by what your back was doing. It's kind of I thought it was quite interesting. But can I explain it? Probably not. But it was kind of, just, don't know, your whole body was into it. It was beyond the body.
Yeah. I mean, I studied dance as a kid and was planning on being a dancer, and then my knees went wrong. And I had started playing violin in elementary school because they offered it. And I was like, okay, well, I like this thing too.
So that was your first thing, and you took to that quite well. I noticed you play it, but I've never seen you play it live, but... Just guitar and piano.
Yeah. I mean, it's so much nicer to play guitar and piano because you can accompany yourself. Playing violin and singing is like the Dixie Chicks can do it,
but
I leave it to them.
They're special.
They are special. I think I might have to bring it on the tour for this album that's coming out in November because there's so many strings on it that I did. So I may have to bring it, and I will torture everyone with my violin playing. And I did love it when I started it.
Yeah.
If you start the violin early enough, you don't know how awful it sounds. And it doesn't feel hard because violin, we know it's such a difficult instrument to play. But when you're young enough, nothing's hard because you have no reference points. So I'm really thankful I started it when I was 8.
I played one gig with the string section, but at the Roundhouse, I couldn't hear anything. I don't know why. It all just went. It seemed to go up all in the air, and it's like it's hard to find the pitch for me.
Anyway. Okay, I heard through a little bird that came in and went tweet, 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 tweet. Tim has a coffee company?
What? No.
What's happening?
Kind of. Well, is it a coffee company? No.
No. Okay, I'm wrong. The bird was wrong.
No, the bird was. The bird had picked up some information, but not all of it. Okay, how did it start? So when I was trying to work out how to use Twitter, after just posting stuff about when I'm playing next, or hey, I've got a new record coming out.
Yeah.
I just one morning I just post, anyone want a coffee? And I got like 100 responses saying, yes please, I'll have a cappuccino. Yes please, I'll have a latte with frappuccino, blah blah blah. And it just got into this whole thing of me doing it every morning, and then someone decided that I should have an imaginary coffee shop, and then I decided that it needed to be more than imaginary. So I was offered an information centre at a festival. It's an information centre all year round, apart from for 3 days at Kendal Calling Festival, where it became Tin Peaks. And we served coffee, and we had bands, and people were doing readings, and DJs and stuff like that. It only held 180 people, but it became like a real central part of this festival. Been doing it for 10 years. Make coffee, all the proceeds go to the David Lynch Foundation because I pretty much nicked the name off him, and also because I'm a meditator, and it kind of the whole idea of the being fair trade and actually doing good from the moment that it's picked and it just made for a good thought process for me.
I'm obsessed with coffee. You don't understand. I'm obsessed with coffee, and like I have a really good friend that goes to Costa Rica and goes to all the places and checks out his place is called Coffee Mob.
Coffee Mob.
If you're ever in town.
Oh yeah,
Coffee Mob. Amazing coffee.
I'll definitely check it out. I mean, it's important to me. It's very important to me.
Yeah. How did you get into meditating?
Well, after quitting alcohol and drugs, I found it okay day-to-day living. I felt a bit broken. I was like, it's like, yes, I've got a body, but I can't really feel anything on the inside anymore. So, a year or so after, I had this party in my flat in London, and everyone was there, and everyone was doing drugs, and like a track would be on like for 10 seconds, and then someone would change it, and it'd just be changed, it'd change. So I just went and sat as far away from the computer as possible, and the other far corner of the very small room of the flat. And a friend came over, my friend Amy, and she said, "Have you ever heard about transcendental meditation?" And I said, "I have, because I used to watch the Beatles." And my favourite bit was always when the Maharishi came, when they went to India and made the White Album. also I've heard of it through David Lynch, who's like another one of my all-time favourite people. And she said, why? He said, oh, well, I have a friend who teaches it and I reckon you'd love it. 2 days later, did it, loved it, and I've done it ever since, twice a day, every day, you know.
That's amazing.
So that's it. And, you know, I mean, I don't really go around telling everybody, but if anybody asks, you know, I find it hard to shut up about it, really.
How has it changed your life?
Yeah, it has so much because I just feel the same. You know, every day I feel the same. That's probably through not being smashed all the time as well. But
yeah. So
I wake up and I feel tired, and then I meditate and I feel alive, and then I go through the day and I feel tired about 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and then meditate and then I can have the rest of the evening feeling pretty good. And my day-to-day stuff is just pretty well organised after the first meditation. It just feels like a filing cabinet.
Wow.
And I just do stuff in order, not by writing lists or anything like that, just by how my kind of brain is set from doing the first meditation of the day.
Yeah, it sounds like a recharge.
Yeah, exactly. Or a reboot. I feel that I'm just at a constant level, and certainly before I was kind of very up and down, you know.
It's so hard not to be up and down because our world is so up and down and sort of thrives off of up and down. Like, here, I'm going to take you really high, and then I'm going to, drop you down on your, on your head, like as hard as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like how the news is set up, how all the social media, I mean, it's crazy.
I try not to get too involved in that. I mean, I did for a while, just was obsessive, and then going down wormholes and YouTube wormholes and stuff like that. But I've kicked all that.
That's great. Okay, so wait a minute. We both have records coming out soon. You have a 5 CD. What's happening? Tell me.
Yeah, so Charlatans have got a 5 vinyl box set coming out and a 7-inch in there as well. So it's 6 in total. It's a greatest hits plus live stuff, which is fantastic. Right from 1990, early days with Rob and John in the band until now, and then it's remixes, and then kind of like sort of demos and all that kind of stuff as well. It took a while to do it, and it's kind of like very enjoyable putting it all together.
Good.
So that, and then I've been doing a solo record during the last few months, and that's coming on pretty well as well, I think. And
Great.
How about yours? Is that ready to go now, or?
So it's getting released November 5th.
Wow.
Yeah, the first single came out maybe a month and a half ago, called Take Me to Your Leader. I wrote it about Jacinda Ardern, the woman that runs New Zealand.
Oh, I heard that on Six Music.
Oh, cool, yeah. Thank God for Mark Riley and Lauren Laverne and all of those total studs over there. I love them so much. He has been so supportive right from the beginning. I adore him. So, it's a record that I made with tracks that I made with Tony Allen, and Tony Allen, drummer for Fela Kuti. Yeah. And Dave Okumu, who lives in London, who plays guitar and bass and produces his own stuff and other people's stuff. And I had met him through a Gil Scott-Heron tribute.
Oh, wow.
And, well, actually, I had met him a long time before that, but we actually got to work together through that. He was MDing that, and I was part of that. And it was just like, from then on, it's like, how can we figure out how to play together? We're going to have it. And so when Tony agreed to record with me, I thought, oh, I got to get Dave Okumu as the third. And we recorded like the whole night in Paris in late 2019. I purposely did not write anything before. I just wanted to jam. So we just played together freely for a number of hours, and I left with the tracks and, hoped I was going to be able to write a record from it at some point. And then the pandemic hit, and I was like, now is the time.
So you had like just a big like breadth of material of improvisational sort of things?
Yes. Yeah. So I did tons of editing. It was extremely labor intensive, but I had all the time.
How long for were you playing together?
I don't know, like an hour and a half, had a big dinner, played another hour.
Oh, amazing,
but stopping and starting,
Yeah.
And like, so some of the songs are just a drum loop that I wrote a whole song over. And then some of them, more of the material is retained, where I kept Dave on bass, me on keys, and then, did a lot of editing to create song forms and like, wrote lots of chord changes over it and stuff. So it was really fun because I had this time I never would have had to do all this editing. I did, because I have a home studio here. I did tons of string arrangements, which I never would have time to do, honestly. I did all my vocals here in my home studio at like 3 a.m., because I'm a night person. Yeah.
Quiet as well, quiet.
Yes, that's right. It's quiet. I don't have those 40-story high-rises being built at 3 a.m. So that record's coming out in November. I'm really excited about that. Are you going to tour on the anthology, on your retrospective?
Yes, retrospective November and December.
Great.
And then, so I put a solo album out in May, so after March.
In May? Last May?
Last May.
Okay, yeah.
And obviously had a tour ready for it. And
Yeah.
I played 4 dates in New York, that was it. And then I was supposed to play in South by Southwest. But that got cancelled, obviously, like everything did. And I'm actually just doing that tour at the end of this month.
Oh, that's so exciting.
It's so exciting to finally play the songs. So I look forward to that. And then Charlatans, and then that's the end of the year, I suppose.
I also had a record come out last May, my second covers record. I had all these dates to play.
Yeah.
I guess I'll try to play some of those songs on the touring that got moved and stuff. So, I mean, it's just like you said, there's so much going on. I think you and I share this love for bringing people together. I mean, you did that on the listening parties. The times I've seen you have been at festivals or at tributes where there's all these artists around and everyone's intermingling and collaborating and stuff. And like, I mean, that is such a special thing for me.
It's great to sort of like, for one night only, to be neighbours with Joan, and Alexis from Hot Chip. And yeah, it's great to sort of, yeah. I mean, I love playing festivals, not to actually play, but to see who's kind of like, who's going to be there.
Yeah.
It's just sort of hang out.
Yeah, and get surprised by people. And like, oh wow, they're not at all how I thought they would be.
No, that's really interesting, isn't it?
It is really interesting. Yeah, it's great.
I was next to David Bowie once.
Who's jealous? That would be me.
Well, it is probably the best. Not the best person I've been next to backstage at a festival, but one of the best.
Who would be
maybe
better
the best.
than
Maybe the
that?
best.
Who would be better than David Bowie? Who? Literally, who's better?
No, there probably isn't. So
Okay.
anyway. So I said to him, "Hey, David, I'm Tim. I'm in the band. We're just going on before you." And he said, "I know." I was like, "Oh," I thought that was like the most amazing thing.
Aww.
It was so cool. I just thought that he would be like, I thought he would have said, "I don't care."
But he's so not like that. I never met him, but in every interview, he's so aware and he's so in touch and he's like paying attention all the time.
So, I mean, he gave clues that he was like an enormously beautiful man. I just thought that I was probably giving off sort of weird vibes or something because I was probably so nervous. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was very cool. We started talking about, like, I don't know, his helicopter and his suit and stuff that he was going to be wearing, and then he played at the Isle of Wight Festival. So it was fantastic. But did you play with Lou Reed?
I did. Yeah.
Thought you did.
I played with him a bunch, but then I got to go on tour with him.
Yeah.
Opening for him and then playing in his band and singing in his band, which was so fun because I got to sing do 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 do. Yes, I did. And literally every time I was about to sing it, I was just like, oh my God. Am I gonna be able to open my mouth? Is the sound gonna come out? Like almost like sick to my stomach. I was just like, you know, I mean, it was because how many times have I heard the song? How many times in how many different places in my life, in the car, on my bike, you know, in like a club, in like, you know, and the time would come and the sound would come out. And I was just like, thank you, Lord.
I see. I mean, Lou for me, it's just like, he's my favorite of all time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I asked him for an autograph in Manchester. He was just at the train station, sat on his own.
Yeah.
And I asked him for an autograph because it took me a while to go and do it. You know, I had to figure out whether it was definitely him. It was. I mean, no one else looked like him. Yeah, no one was really It was like around about the time of kind of like Set the Twilight Reel in, you know, kind of I don't know, maybe, you know, 90s, you know. And I said, hi, Lou, can I get your autograph? And he turned around and goes, if I fucking must. And then I was like, okay, I'll just go and get a pen then. And then it was, and after, from that moment, it was amazing. But I just got the full on kind of like Lou, what I always read about. Right?
Well, he is famously curmudgeonly. I always feel like he was like that because he was such an incredibly sensitive person that like getting so much all the time was too much. You know, I feel like he was so raw. You can hear it in his music. He's so ripped open all the time that to have like a lot of like, I mean, he was like, I mean, it's well known that he really hated the press. Doing interviews and, you know, being picked at, you know, was not something he loved. But, you know, I mean, to hear him say, if I fucking must, in that deadpan.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. You're never going to forget that.
No. And I was the only one around. I was the only one around. It was just for me. It was just for me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So did you talk to him further after that or no?
He was just really nice. He goes, oh, you know, give me the pen. You know, it's that guy.
Yeah.
You know,
because he's a sweetheart, actually.
I was still too, you know, I was a bit, I kind of ran off pretty quick after that. Though.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a little scary.
But you know, it's still good. It's a good story.
Yeah, it is.
And I love that record as well. Set the Twilight Railing. So that's that's a big one. I like the Metallica one as well. I'm a big
that was the record that we toured on. And
was it?
Yeah, and
Junior Dad. It's like unbelievable.
Junior Dad was incredible. And I have to say that the band that he was touring with, okay, I don't want to diss anyone, but like they were just a lot more my style of playing than Metallica were. So they made that music so live in this way that was not on the recordings. They made it really beautiful. And so it was really fun to play the songs off that record because of the musicians that were on the tour.
Do you know how it was even made, that record? Did Lou have all the songs and the lyrics and Metallica just played or was it like something that I just don't know anything about it apart from the fact that I own the record. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. I know he had a lot of the words written previously, and I know he really poured over getting the lyrics right. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I know he really enjoyed working with them.
I was never in a trailer backstage next to him. So, I mean, you're right, David Bowie is the best. So what next?
What next? Yeah, so I just started rehearsing with my band for the first time after over a year and a half. And because this record that I made has never been played live, we have to figure out how to do it. There's like tons of vocals on there because I had all that time, so many harmony vocals and backup vocals and stuff. And so many parts. I mean, it's just like I did it over such a period of time that I would just add more stuff. Oh, this needs a piano. Oh, this needs an organ. This needs more strings. So we're figuring out how to play that record right now, which is so, I mean, rehearsing is one of my favorite things of all time. It's maybe even more fun than playing live.
Wow,
because there's no pressure,
Yeah.
You just get to make music with like your favorite people.
Yeah, I like a little bit of rehearsing, but I'm more about the actual, on the night thing.
The night is the most important thing, but I do love working stuff out.
Yeah, I mean, I've got more into it, the more solo records I've been doing.
Yeah. And when do you leave for tour?
Well, I think it's the end of September, so I'm pretty sure we'll start rehearsing in a week or so.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's like 7 of us, so it's kind of...
7?
I know.
What is the instrumentation?
So it's synth and piano. So 2 keyboards, drums, bass, guitar. I'm playing guitar as well, violin.
Wow.
As well, so I think that's 7.
That is 7. I counted.
Oh, good.
Wow, I wish I could see that show.
Well, I'll take some film.
That's great. Okay, so we should both go meditate right now and have an incredible rest of our day.
I'll think about you while I'm meditating. I'll be sending vibes, and I really can't wait for your record. And thanks so much for doing this. And I'll see you in a porta cabin, probably somewhere in Europe.
Yes, exactly. In front of like weird beverages that are sponsored in a refrigerator and like strange food stuffs that are made of plastic. And it's so fun to talk to you.
You too, Joan. So great to see you.
I can't wait to hear your new record too.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear yours too.
Yeah. Okay.
Take care. Thanks for doing it.
Okay, love you. Mwah.
Yeah, love you too. Bye, Joan. Take care.
Bye, sweetheart. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Talkhouse podcast, and thanks to Tim Burgess and Joan Wasser for chatting. If you like what you heard, please follow Talkhouse on your favorite podcasting services and social media outlets. This episode was produced by Melissa Kaplan, and the Talkhouse theme is composed and performed by The Range. See you next time.